Rodolfo, somos todos tuyos.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bueno, muy buenas noches, apreciadas, apreciados estudiantes, docentes, administrativos, directivos, que se encuentran esta noche acompañándonos en nuestro último día de Mega Virtual. Es un gusto y un placer nuevamente compartir con ustedes y hoy unos invitados de lujo y sobre todo un acercamiento a una rama del diseño que es sumamente interesante y muy, muy chévere, que es la ilustración y el dibujo. Y sobre todo la animación también, ¿no? Entonces, el día de hoy tendremos a... hoy es día ya final para que se pongan las pilas y estén dispuestos a preguntar, a interlocutar en esta excelente y muy, muy buena práctica que tendremos el día de hoy. Entonces, la programación para el día 2 de julio, ingreso a sala, apertura, bienvenida. Un poco más del profe Rodolfo, ¿qué pasó ahí de por Dios? Porque un poco más de mí, no entiendo.
Porque queremos más de ti, Rodolfo. Has estado toda la semana, pero queremos
Usted
más.
dijo que se iba a pulir después del video de Camilo.
Ay, no puede ser, ¿en serio? No, de por Dios. Bueno, eh, presentación de una presentación maravillosa. Bienvenido y muy, muy bienvenido. Welcome to Colombia, Universidad Virtual EDI. Presentación de EDI. Wright, ya vamos a la presentación. La ponencia de Eddie White, preguntas a Eddie, después vamos con las preguntas y presentación de la docente Mónica Durán, después a las 8:11 de la noche que va a complementar este espacio. El cierre de 9:01 a 9:10, entendiendo que como a nosotros nos gusta hablar tanto. Entonces,
De 9 en adelante, en cualquier momento, terminamos.
claro que sí. Bueno, pues un gusto, un placer y damos la bienvenida y la apertura a este espacio. A ver con qué van a salir ustedes, muchachos, no tenían idea.
No, vamos a ver con qué sale usted. Listo.
Gracias.
Bueno, bastante difícil responder a la pregunta de quién soy yo, así que prefiero irme por las ramas y vamos a tratar de responder qué hago yo más bien, ¿no? Entonces, pues nada, vamos a mirar algo de una de mis actividades de las que creo que estoy enamorado, que es viajar, conocer, ir, venir y además hacer fotografía. Entonces, estamos un poco retrasados porque teníamos que salir muy temprano, ya son casi las 7 de la mañana, pero vamos a ver cómo nos va. Eh, Vamos a ver qué pasa.
Bueno, ya vamos camino a Boyacá. Estamos, ¿dónde estamos?
Choconta.
Chocontá. Bueno, ya vamos vía Villa de Leyva, ya vamos llegando. Vamos a ver si... Amanecer en Ráquira. Nada, vamos a ver qué se hace de fotografía hoy. Vamos a dar el desayunito.
Bueno, con la cucharita empezaremos entonces. Hoy nuestro mega, con mucho aprecio y con mucho cariño para todos ustedes. Si vieran lo que me costó editar ese video, pero bueno, estuvo muy bien, y muchas gracias por permitirme o por visualizar mi video en el espacio. Gracias, gracias. Ahí conocieron un poquito más
Por
de...
compartir, Adolfo, por compartir
Dime.
gracias por compartir con nosotros un poquito de tu familia, de tus gustos. Estuvo interesante. De tus gustos musicales, me gustó la música. Bien variado, ¿no?
Sí, 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 pues como un sancocho, como nos gusta hacerlo en Colombia, lleno de todo. Bueno, vamos entonces con la siguiente parte de nuestro proceso. Voy a dar la presentación entonces a Eddie. Eddie White ¿Ha estado aquí antes? Quizás fue un tucán en una vida pasada. La carrera de Eddie como ilustrador ha hecho un giro completo, empezando con un compulsivo, o empezando él como un compulsivo dibujante en Adelaide, Australia, y como un compulsivo dibujante adulto también. Fue el creador de The People Republic of Animation, un estudio de animación que dirigió por 16 años. Estando ahí, Eddie escribió y dirigió varios cortos animados, incluido el nominado al Oscar de Cat Piano en 2009, narrado por el cantante Nick Cave. Eddie visitó Colombia por primera vez en 2017 y no pudo dejar de pensar en volver. En el 2020 se aventuró a regresar con un boleto solo de ida, con la mira presta en absorber todo lo que el país tenía para ofrecerle. Durante el encierro de 6 meses que siguió, Eddie exploró todo lo que pudo en Colombia a través de sus dibujos, construyendo una amplia audiencia colombiana en Instagram, también encerrados en sus casas con otros soñadores. La serie de dibujos A Top Set of Colombian Times, que fue acogida por Colombia en las redes sociales y siguió con The Last Of, una serie de dibujos animada que explora las comidas típicas de cada ciudad colombiana. Ahora es un verdadero austracolombiano que hace de Colombia su hogar. Welcome, Eddie.
Gracias, gracias.
Un gusto tenerte en este espacio. Maravillados. Maestrísimo.
Gracias.
Maestro. Maestro.
Maestro, maestro. Profe y maestro.
Profe y maestro. Por favor. Camilo, gracias.
Damos la bienvenida también a Mónica Durán, nuestra profe de inglés del Centro Virtual de Idiomas, quien nos estará acompañando esta noche con la interpretación simultánea. Mónica, bienvenida y muchas gracias por tu colaboración. Eddie, we all are ears.
Sure. So you would like to hear my story, I'm guessing. So
Certainly.
is certainly okay. So my story, people often ask me when I started drawing, and for me it's a really hard question to answer because for me it's like eating or drinking or breathing, because I've been drawing as long as I can remember. So I asked my mother, and she said that I was probably 2 years old or 3 years old when I started drawing, and I guess in that sense, I was born drawing, which sounds like a cliche, but it, it was apparently true. So my mother would see me scribbling in the children's books next to the drawings, and she thought I was just being a naughty kid. But then she soon realized I was trying to copy the drawings in the books, and so they gave me all this paper and pencils and stuff.
Mónica.
Listo. Bueno, Eddie nos está comentando que es un poco difícil para él saber cuándo empezó realmente a dibujar, ya que para él esto es tan básico como respirar o comer, ¿no? Entonces, nos comentaba que lo más que se puede recordar, lo que puede acordarse de él es de los 2, 3 años que le contaba a su mamá, que así suena un poco cliché, nació dibujando, porque ella ya le comentaba que desde esa edad él ya empezó a dibujar y lo veía haciendo garabatos en sus libros. Y bueno, en la escuela y tal vez ella también pensaban que pues era tal vez solo por ser travieso o ser inquieto, pero después ya le empezaron a dar los libros para que él, digamos que satisfaciera esa necesidad que ya era muy evidente.
Yeah, so I started doing that, and I think that, I mean, most children like drawing. I think that that's something that most kids do, but I think that maybe what was a little bit different about me than the kids that you know, in my class, you know, in the first years of school was I was always, I guess, drawing things that were a little bit strange, a little bit weird. And I really loved drawing things like insects, but making little like worlds, like creating little worlds that I would have like imaginary scenes with insects doing things and animals and usually those were the first two things that I was really obsessed with drawing about was insects and animals. And I think I'm not sure why that is, but that's just the way it worked out. But I think that it could be to do with the fact that when you're a kid, insects are smaller than you, you know, they're not bigger than you. So I think maybe that's one reason why I was so obsessed with drawing insects.
Thank you. Mónica.
Bueno, nos comenta de que a la mayoría, él es consciente que a la mayoría de los niños les gusta dibujar, pero lo particularmente diferente que él siente en su caso era que siempre estaba dibujando cosas poco comunes o extrañas, dice él, que en su caso son insectos. Y lo curioso era que estos insectos los dibujaban en unas formas un poco, digamos, poco reales, imaginarias. No comprende muy bien el por qué, pero tal vez, bueno, una hipótesis para él es que un niño a esa edad podría dibujar a los insectos porque es como la relación que tienen frente al mundo de algo que es más pequeño que ellos, ¿no? Que los insectos. Entonces, esa es lo que acaba de comentar.
I also think maybe what we end up doing as artists or whatever we do is also influenced by not only our genetics and those are the things, but the environment that we're in. Like I was born in Adelaide, South Australia, and Adelaide is a, you know, very sunny kind of, I guess, pretty outdoors kind of city. But I was born in the hills, so the weather was kind of like, you know, in summer it was really nice, but in winter it's kind of like Bogota, you know, a lot of rain, a lot of wet days where you sort of have to stay inside and you know, in front of the fire. And I guess as a kid, when you're not living next to the beach, playing cricket or, you know, swimming or surfing, you know, you might be influenced by the environment. So I think that was a big reason also why I just kept drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing.
Bueno, Eddie nació en Australia, como ya lo comentaban. El clima, cuando nos comenta que en el lugar donde nació, en verano, pues por supuesto era muy soleado, vivió en una parte en el exterior, perdón, me refiero a una parte abierta, ¿no? En el campo, se refiere él. Pero en invierno era casi como en Bogotá, lo compara. Y entonces esto implicaba que se quedaba en su casa y esto implicaba muchas horas para poder estar en casa y poder dibujar.
So yeah, so I guess that became my obsession. And then when I was in school, I would draw in school, and I think they tried to get me to draw with crayons, and I was already drawing with a felt tip pen. So most of the 5-year-olds were, you know, looking forward to drawing with crayons and finger painting, and I think I was sort of like, well, where's my pen? You know, can I have my pen now? But they wouldn't give us the pen, so that was pretty interesting. But I think that I soon noticed that kids really liked the fact that I could draw, and I guess I would draw things to make them laugh or, you know, to get their attention. And so I wasn't really a shy kid. I was actually pretty, you know, talkative and social. But yeah, I think I really loved the idea of something I drew having an impact on someone, whether they thought it was funny or, you know, whatever it was. So I think that happened pretty early. And then I sort of probably got hooked on that feeling that you can really move people with an image.
Bueno, nos comenta Eddie que cuando dibujaba en el colegio, mientras los otros compañeros dibujaban con crayones, él dibujaba con un lapicero, lo cual era marcaba la diferencia. A los niños, a sus compañeros de clase les llamaba mucho la atención y les gustaba eso, y esto Eddie lo vio como una oportunidad, algo que él pudiera dibujar. Quería dibujar cosas entonces que los hiciera reír o que pudiera llamar la atención de ellos, pero en todo caso, independientemente de la reacción, que ya se empezó a enfocar en que él podía dibujar algo que causara impacto en su entorno.
And then I think, like most children, I loved watching cartoons and animations, and I didn't really know that that's what I was well suited for, because I was just wanting to be an illustrator, like a children's book illustrator, like all of the children's books that I loved reading about that age. But then what happened is in the early 90s, there was this really big resurgence of like a renaissance of animation worldwide, with the Disney movies that were coming out, with Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, and then The Lion King, and then there was TV shows like The Simpsons and Ren and Stimpy, and all of these shows that were really influencing what I was drawing and what I wanted to be. And then I remember I saw Beauty and the Beast at the cinema when I would have been probably 10 years old. And I decided then, I thought, I want to work in animation. That was like a big turning point in my creative mind as well.
Bueno, nos comenta Eddie que le gustaba mucho mirar lo que llamamos, los dibujos animados. Ya ahí empezó su iniciación como en el querer dibujar algo así, pero sin embargo hubo un momento crucial que fue a principios de los años 90, que hubo todo este florecimiento, digamos, de la animación con las películas de Disney, de Aladdin, del Rey León, de La Bella y la Bestia, que influenció bastante lo que él estaba dibujando. Él recuerda cuando tenía 10 años y vio por primera vez en el cinema La Bella y la Bestia, y que fue en ese momento que él decidió que quería trabajar en la animación.
And then when I was a little bit older, about 12, 13, probably 11 or 12, the teacher, the headmaster from the school, he said to me, I noticed that you're a good drawer, and maybe you can illustrate the school magazine. So I got taken out of class. I didn't have to sit in maths class. I got to sit in my own little office, and at 11 years old, drawing all of the school activities and all of the teachers and all of the kids. And I thought, wow, this is like, how good is this? I don't have to do maths. I can draw. So I was already starting to realize then that drawing was like my superpower. That was that was what I could do. That not every kid necessarily could do what I did there, but I was terrible at maths, and I would fail every maths test and these kind of stuff. But I was always really into the artistic stuff. So I think that was a really interesting point, because I thought, okay, so this not only is something that I love doing, but it's something that people value. And the headmaster of the school valuing my drawings was, I guess, probably, when I look back on it, it was probably like a real realization that I could do this not just for fun, but I could do this for the rest of my life as a job or a career.
Nos cuenta de otra anécdota. Cuando tenía entre 12 y casi 12 años, el director del colegio donde estudiaba notó que era muy buen dibujante, y en este momento lo llamó y le pidió que si podría ayudar a ilustrar las revistas que publicaba el colegio. Cuenta Eddie con bastante gracia que los sacaban de clases de matemáticas para su fortuna y los llevaban a la oficina del director a que apoyara con toda la parte de los dibujos y la ilustración de las revistas. Eddie cuenta esto como un momento en el que se dio cuenta que dibujar era un superpoder, así lo veía él en ese momento, y también se dio cuenta que dibujar no era solo algo que le gustaba hacer, sino que en este momento se dio cuenta que era algo que la gente podría valorar y que esto lo podría hacer por el resto de su vida profesionalmente hablando.
And so when I was about 12 or 13, that's when I decided, okay, well, if I want to do animation, I've got to make an animated film. So I think what I did was I got a couple of friends together who, they liked animation. They weren't necessarily illustrators or drawers, but one of them could make stuff out of plasticine, and one of them was like a very smart guy who could do writing. And in 1996, we started our little animation studio at the age of 14 called Double Animation, and that was like the first step into the world of animation. And back then there was no digital cameras ready, and the internet wasn't even a thing yet, so it was still very early days. But we storyboarded our own little short films and wrote different ideas that at that stage we didn't end up making. And then probably 2 years later, when I was about 16, that's when I made my first actual animation short film. And yeah, I mean, that was cool because we entered it into like different film festivals, and then it got into this festival in Canada, and we were sort of 16 years old and thinking, wow, like this is so cool, so that was where my taste for animation, I guess, really took another turn.
Cuando Eddie tenía entre 12 o 13 años, ya fue cuando tomó la decisión de hacer una película animada. Reunió a un par de amigos que no necesariamente eran expertos en animación, pero tenían ciertas habilidades que podían aportar al proyecto. Hablaba de cómo en este momento las cámaras digitales no eran algo tan desarrollado, por supuesto el internet tampoco, pero finalmente lo que hicieron fue un storyboard de algunas películas que no lo hicieron real finalmente, pero ya llegó a sus 15 años de edad, donde ya hizo su cortometraje animado. Entonces, este cortometraje terminó, bueno, en festivales, en países, y fue una gran experiencia para él.
Then in the year 2000, when I was about 18 years old, I'd left school and I knew animation was what I wanted to do. So me and the friends, we decided to, let's actually set up a business. We called it the People's Republic of Animation, which became known as also the PRA. And yeah, we started our own animation studio, and we rented a studio, and we couldn't really afford it because we were working in supermarkets and pizza shops and stuff like that. But I think it was a good step, because we thought, okay, well, if we want to be taken seriously and we want to make animated films, we've got to actually build if you build it, they will come, as it says. So we started doing that, and it was hard because we didn't have a lot of people, we didn't have a lot of help, and that was pretty tricky. And I thought, like, I should probably study something else as well. So I decided to study acting, because I was always interested in drama and performance, and I thought, well, it'll help with animation as well. So I auditioned for drama school, and I didn't realize that when I got in, that was going to take up a big chunk of my life. It was about 4 years studying full time, and then I'd do animation on the weekends and after hours. So it was a pretty busy 4 years.
A principios de los años 2000, cuando Eddie tenía 18 años, ya se dio cuenta que animación era lo que él tenía pensado hacer. Decidió hacer un negocio, sí, abrir un negocio con unos compañeros. Por supuesto, en ese momento pues no contaba con mucho dinero, eran estudiantes que tenían trabajos de tiempos parciales en supermercados, en pizzerías, pero él lo cuenta como que igual fue un buen paso, fue un paso muy importante, porque realmente quería ser reconocido y sabía que valía la pena y quería ser tomado pues en serio en su trabajo. Sin embargo, bueno, después se dio cuenta que pues tenía muy poca gente para trabajar y decidió entrar a estudiar actuación. Esto él pensó que podría ayudarle con la animación, siempre estuvo interesado en esto también y nos comentó cómo duró 4 años estudiando actuación en tiempo completo y por esto ya la parte de la animación se redujo, la dedicación a la animación se redujo a los fines de semana y a un tiempo más corto de lo que él deseaba.
So in those 4 years between doing 9 to 5 drama school and different theatrical plays and stuff like that, we were making animations, mainly music videos and some little promos for different businesses. And we weren't earning any money at that stage, but we were making stuff and we were getting to make our own stuff, which was cool. And then we applied for a grant to make our first, professional short film. And so we made that in 2004 and released that in 2005. By the time I finished drama school, I'd had this finished short film, and we started entering into different animation festivals and film festivals around the world. And this particular film got into the big Australian Film Awards back then, which was called AFI Awards, and it got nominated for best short film. So we were up against these sort of professional animation directors who we'd always looked up to in Australia, and suddenly we were in there with them, and it's because we'd been working so hard for so many years. So people sort of didn't realize that we've been working at it for sort of 6 or 7, 8 years together. So we released the short film, and it when I watch it now, it's full of mistakes, but I think it's a really good. It was a really good learning experience because we got a lot of money to make it. I think we got maybe like $40,000 was the budget, so it was a lot of money back then to make a short film. So that was our first foray into the world of professional animation, and for the next few years after that, that's where we continued heading.
Bueno, nos comentaba que sí, durante estos años de actuación, a pesar de que estuvo muy ocupado estudiando actuación, igual pudo realizar algunos videos, muchos videos musicales. Igual había un poco de dinero, pero lo que le importaba a él era que estaban trabajando y estaban produciendo pues en su proyecto. Empezó a hacer un cortometraje en el año 2004 y ya para el 2005, cuando él terminó de estudiar actuación, ya se había lanzado este cortometraje. Para sorpresa de él y su mayor agrado, este cortometraje fue nominado a unos premios muy importantes de Australian Film Awards, EFI, premios EFI. Fue nominado a la categoría de mejor cortometraje. Entonces, Eddie y sus compañeros se sorprendieron mucho por la admiración que recibieron. Él lo mira ahora en este momento, se da cuenta que cometió bastantes errores en este cortometraje, pero de cualquier forma fue una gran experiencia de aprendizaje y sobre todo su primera entrada fuerte al mundo profesional de la animación.
So we were an up and running professional animation studio then, and there was still only a small group of us, probably 5 or 6 of us there. But then as the years went on, we started making more short films, and we needed more animators, and we got more money to make things and different jobs to pay the bills, and we were starting to earn an income. It wasn't a big income, but it was an income. So we were pretty happy, and we made a short film called Carnival Reflux in 2006, which is a sort of a cut out style animation, sort of similar to the animations you see in Monty Python, the Terry Gilliam ones. So that was kind of a different style we did, and that film was more successful than the previous, which was a really cool thing when you're growing as a filmmaker and you see your films getting better. And that got into all kinds of festivals around the world. And we got invited to South Korea. I got to go to South Korea for a festival in Germany, and it was really exciting because we were doing what we loved. We were getting to travel around the world. It wasn't about money at that stage because we didn't need a lot of money really. We were in our early 20s, mid 20s, so we were just happy doing what we were, what we loved, and traveling and working together with your friends and making films. And it was a really exciting time. And then we made a longer short film that was a co-production with the Shanghai Animation Studio in China, which is like a 60-year-old government-run studio. And it was the first co-production between Australia and China with animation. And I got to visit China, and it was just like completely eye-opening seeing how the process was so different there. And it was a really interesting process making that film, which was called Sweet and Sour.
Sweet and Sour is the name of a movie.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. Bueno, con el tiempo empezaron a hacer más cortometrajes, ya se empezaban a reflejar los ingresos a partir de esto. Lograron llegar a muchos festivales, llegaron a ser invitados a Corea del Sur, Alemania, y para esto para él fue muy emocionante porque, bueno, finalmente con su grupo estaban haciendo lo que amaban y bueno, podían viajar por el mundo haciendo esta actividad. Nos cuenta algo muy importante y es una coproducción que hicieron de un largometraje con un estudio en China. Nos cuenta de que es la primera colaboración entre estos dos países en esta área. El largometraje se llama Sweet and Sour. No sé si haya una imagen por ahí, o bueno, tal vez no. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, sure. And then after we made that short film, I think because it was we had quite a big budget for that, and there was a lot of people, 2 countries. I wanted to do something small. I wanted to do a small short film again. So After Hours, me and one of the other guys who worked at the studio, who was the art director, we just started making an idea for a short film, and at that stage it was just him and me, and we decided that let's co-direct this film, but no one else was really involved or focused on it because it was just after hours, and during hours we were doing jobs, we're doing stuff that would earn the rent, pay the rent, but this short film was just an idea. And soon we had the script, and it was a poem I wrote, and it was called The Cat Piano. And then gradually people started to show interest in it. Okay. And then I found a producer who was interested in producing it for us. And she said, look, who do you want to narrate it? And I said, Nick Cave, the Australian singer. And she's like, I think I can get a contact who might know him, because he's, notoriously hard to get involved in projects. So we sent this presentation off to him, and there was no money involved because at this stage we had no money. But we thought if he says yes, then, or if he says he wants money, we'll pay him. But if he doesn't ask for money, then that'll be good. So we sent off this presentation to him with the poem and the storyboards, and then I think it was about 4 or 5 months later before we heard from him, and we were starting to give up. And they said, yeah, Nick is interested in doing it. He really likes the poem, and he's not asking for any money, but just make sure that he has some mineral water and sandwiches there on the day of the voice recording. And that was how we ended up getting an Australian icon involved in our short film.
Eddie, sorry, I must say I lost connection for a second.
Oh, no, that's okay.
And I actually can't see you very well, but okay. well, maybe it's mine.
Yeah. Do you
I'll
want me
do.
to?
Yeah.
need me
Could you? Yes, I am really sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, our next short film was called The Cat Piano, and that was a film that I started writing as a poem, and then one of the art director from the studio, he agreed to make it with me, and he was a beautiful illustrator, and we got together, and after hours we started working on this idea that eventually became the short film. But we approached, through a producer, we approached Nick Cave, the Australian singer, who's notoriously really hard to get involved in projects. And then it took about 4 or 5 months for him to say anything, but then he got back to us and said, yes, he'll do it. He doesn't need any money, but just make sure he's got sandwiches and mineral water on the day. So that was a very, very easy choice.
Bueno, nos comenta Eddie que su siguiente cortometraje fue llamado Cat Piano, que inicialmente empezó como la idea de un poema, pero sin embargo el director de arte lo ayudó con la idea, lo impulsó para que esto se convirtiera en un cortometraje. Pudieron contactar a un cantante australiano que se llama Nick Cave, bueno, probablemente la audiencia lo conozca. Se demoró bastante, unos 4 o 5 meses en responder, pero finalmente cuando lo hizo, bueno, no cobró la cantidad de dinero que ellos esperaban, de hecho fue lo opuesto, muy, muy colaborador por su parte y les ayudó con este proyecto.
I think it was one of those projects that I knew it was, I felt it was special when we were working on it. And then when people like him started to join it, I thought, okay, this could be something really magical, really special if we do it right. So after working on it, just for, just after hours for fun, we decided to go for some funding, and we got some money to really get it finished, because we've been sort of chipping away at things for a year or two, probably a year and a half. So we got some money to actually finish the production. We hired some animators, and yeah, we finished the actual short film in sort of 6 or 7 months, and then we released it into the world, and it was really the most successful thing we'd done. It got into every animation festival and film festival, started winning lots of awards, and then we entered it into, because it won some awards that made it eligible to enter the Oscars, the Academy Awards. So we thought, yeah, okay, like let's do it. So we entered the Oscars, and yeah, it got shortlisted. There was 10 short films, and we were one of them, and it was one of the most exciting times in my life to get that email saying that we'd been shortlisted for an Oscar, and wasn't nominated, but it was only one step away from a nomination. So 10 films got cut to 5 films, and we waited on the night. We had everyone around, and everyone was very excited, and we thought we had a good chance, but we weren't one of the 5 films. So it was incredibly crushing and devastating. But I remember being really upset at the time, really sad, but at the same time, we made it that far, and so it was successful in that way.
Bueno, después de reflexionar en lo mágico y lo especial que esta idea podría llegar a convertirse, decidieron ya conseguir los fondos, contratar al personal, y nos cuenta él que luego de culminarla y ver ya eso fue lo más exitoso que ellos han hecho, lo considera él como lo más exitoso que han hecho. Llegaron a muchos festivales e incluso nos cuenta la historia de cómo estuvo tan cerca del grupo de los 5 nominados a los Oscar, pero sin embargo no llegaron a formar parte del grupo. Pero nos cuenta lo satisfactorio que fue poder haber llegado tan lejos con este proyecto.
And then from then, I think that what happened was we really wanted to make a feature film, so I started writing a feature film script. but you know, it was my first movie script and it was very hard to do. But I chipped away at it. And I think what happened was the studio changed, started to be more about you know, being a business rather than just making films. So it started to move more towards video games, and I was more interested in films. And there was a restructure, and I decided to leave the studio at that point because they were doing video games. My brother, he was still running it, and some of the guys were working, some of the guys had left. So I decided to pursue my feature film career, and after that, I wrote a couple of feature films, animation, and also live action. And I made a live action short film called Upside Down Feeling, and that was in 2015. So that was my first time directing actors and working with a film crew, and I loved it. So I started to see that I could do more than one thing. You know, I didn't just have to do animation. I didn't have to just do drawing. I could direct actors as well. So that was a really cool experience. And then how did I end up in Colombia? That's the last bit. Is that, you know, my friend who worked in animation, Andres Barrientos, who some of you might be very familiar with. He made a film called En Agosto. It was a very successful Colombian animated film. He invited me to come to Colombia years ago, and I never came. But eventually in 2017, I decided I want to see Latin America, and I came to Argentina and Colombia, and fell in love with Colombia, of course. And that's when I decided that I could definitely spend more time here. And then in 2019, I decided in the middle of the year, I thought, yeah, Colombia is where I want to be next year. And then I came here in February 2020, and then the pandemic happened in March, and I'd literally been here for 1 month. Next thing, I was in lockdown for 6 months in Cartagena.
Bueno, nos cuenta Eddie cómo el estudio en el que él trabajaba cambió un poco su concepto, una reestructuración, se empezaron a hacer otro tipo de productos como videojuegos, entre otras. En este momento él, bueno, se retiró de ese negocio, empezó a trabajar con cortometrajes de acción. Y bueno, hasta que finalmente en el 2015 se logró una gran oportunidad con una producción audiovisual en donde se dio cuenta que también dentro de sus capacidades estaba dirigir un equipo de trabajo como actores y actrices, ¿no? Entonces, aquí él deja un poco esta historia para contarnos cómo fue que vino él a Colombia. Andrés Barrientos, que él asegura que probablemente algunos de ustedes lo conozcan, lo invitó, pero bueno, finalmente nunca vino y hasta que ya en el 2017 se decidió venir a Latinoamérica, vino acá también, bueno, se enamoró del país, pasó un tiempito acá, se fue y volvió en el 2020 y pues todos conocemos qué sucedió en el 2020, entonces aquí lo cogió la pandemia en Cartagena y bueno, ya nos contará un poco más de qué pasó después.
And you know, people say, "Oh, how did you become how did you become known in Colombia?" And I think what happened was before I came to Colombia, I'd done a few Facebook, Instagram sponsored posts, and some of my drawing, they weren't about Colombia, but they had that sort of Latin tropical sort of sensual vibe, and I started getting some real followers in Colombia even when I was in Australia. So I thought, okay, this is a good sign. And I had Colombian friends there, and they really liked my drawings, and I thought, this is interesting that the Colombians are appreciating my drawings, or loving my drawings more than Australians. And during lockdown, I was drawing a lot about sensuality and erotic drawings, and the main people that were really loving those were particularly young women from Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, but mostly Colombia. And then, like, I hadn't really drawn about Colombian things other than a few references costeñas and girls of Cartagena, girls of Bogota are drawn. And then I drew the alphabet, the A to Z of Colombia, which really exploded on Twitter and Facebook particularly, and drew everyone back to my Instagram. And I think suddenly in a couple of days I had 10,000 followers and news articles and all this kind of stuff. So that was where I got the first big wave of real Colombian, hardcore followers, and it was it was a pretty amazing experience for me.
Nos comenta Eddie que antes de venir a Colombia, él ya tenía una idea de la apreciación, digamos, especial que había en este país por su trabajo. Con su trabajo que ya los invitados que conocen su trabajo es dibujos de sensualidad y dibujos eróticos, pero para sorpresa, digamos, de muchas personas, lo que él pudo haber dibujado fue algo relacionado con esto, y realmente lo que hizo fue dibujar el alfabeto, que es uno de los trabajos, digamos, más reconocidos del artista. Esta fue como el impacto, ¿no?, más grande, la primera gran ola de fama que él pudo recoger aquí en el país.
So for the last year, I really continued exploring all aspects of Colombia, that interested me. So the food, I started doing the tastes of each city, and I did the dances, the music, done the movies, animals, flavors, smells. I mean, I just, anything that is inspiring to me, I try and capture that. So I've focused on a lot of Colombian things, but then I've also kept drawing a lot about sensuality and erotic drawings, which are also very, very popular. So I think that I try and mix it up. I try and draw sometimes about Colombia, sometimes it's just about something sexy, and then another time it might be about food, and then I might draw about, I draw these monster maps where I turn different maps of the world into like different creatures and monsters. So anything that I just feel like, might give people a smile that day, or make them hungry, or make them amused or horny, or whatever the emotion I'm trying to elicit. I think that's what I get up every day and think, what can I do today that will affect people in some way here. And I guess Colombia has become my main audience. Probably 70% of my 55% of my followers would be Colombian. So now I'm almost more of a Colombian artist than an Australian artist.
Eddie continuó explorando los aspectos de Colombia que le interesaban, el sabor que él llama el sabor de los sabores de cada ciudad, los bailes, la música, las películas, los animales, sabores, olores, cualquier cosa que a él lo inspirara. Él trataba de capturarlo paralelamente al trabajo que ya les acaba de comentar, el que ya venía haciendo, con la plena finalidad de despertar diferentes sensaciones o emociones en las personas. Llama también la atención cómo ahorita tiene tal vez más seguidores colombianos que australianos, después de esta gran ola de fama en Colombia debido a este trabajo que él ha venido realizando.
So I guess people, do you want to stay in Colombia? They say, and I do. I want to stay in Colombia and explore the country, explore it through my work, celebrate things about it through my art, and just really find out more about it as a country. And I'd love to visit all the different areas. I mean, I've been to about 6 departments out of the 32, so I've got a few to go. But I'm finding everything so inspiring about it. And, like while I want to visit other parts of Latin America, like Mexico City, where I am now, I think that Colombia feels like it's my artistic soul home. It's the country that really made me feel loved. And, it's a special feeling when you love a country. That's a special feeling. But when the country loves you back, it's pure magic. because usually countries don't care that you're there. You know, they don't they don't really care. Where at Colombia, I felt like, oh wow, they really appreciate what I'm doing, and that makes me want to do more for them. And that's, I guess, my love affair with Colombia explained.
Le preguntaron en un momento al artista Eddie si quería quedarse y él, bueno, respondió que por supuesto que sí, que quería continuar pues explorando el país a través de su trabajo, conocerlo mucho más. Lo llama, ha llamado a Colombia como su hogar, ¿sí? Donde está su alma artística, lo llama el artista Eddie. Le parece muy interesante, muy bonito más bien, como cuando cuando un artista siente pasión o siente tanta atracción por su país, por el país, pero es aún mejor cuando él recibe lo mismo, cuando la gente realmente aprecia eso y eso lo ha impulsado a él a continuar trabajando.
So I guess that's my story. That's my story as an artist, and hopefully, you know, the chapter, my Colombian chapter, and be, you know, there's many more exciting things and surprises to come, and that's what I love about doing what I do, is that each day there's, you know, surprises and exciting things happen. And so yeah, and I've got Colombia to thank for a big part of that, with the illustration particularly. So thank you for listening to my story from Australia to Colombia.
Thank you, Eddie, for sharing with us your story, your lovely story. I find it very interesting the way you find inspiration in everything that surrounds you, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to, if Monica helps me with the translation, sorry.
Sure.
I forgot.
Yes, I'm here. Bueno, el profe Camilo cuenta cómo le agrada que el artista pueda encontrar inspiración en todo lo que encuentra aquí en Colombia.
But is there anything that you can't connect with in order to create something? Because I think you are the kind of guy who sees beauty in everything. Is there anything where when you say, no, I can't get anything positive out of this?
I think yeah, I do love details. I'm obsessed with the little details of things that make me inspired, whether it's what someone's wearing, or what a certain food color is, or, you know, I think it's the little things that make me inspired. And I think you can find those in most things, you know, whether it's people, animals, food, the world. As long as it's got some character to it, I can usually find some inspiration to it. But I think that there's generally a flavor that I've got with my work, where it literally is like, I want my drawings to have some flavor. So it's not just a drawing about politics, or it's not a drawing about something that's happening in the moment in the world. It's like, it allows you to dream, and it allows you to taste in some way. So they're the two things that I generally try and focus on with, at least with the drawings that I've been doing on Instagram, because I think that when you've got an audience there, you start to really see what you love and what they love, and where that crosses over. And that's the exciting part, when you find something and you go, I'll keep exploring that. Other times you might draw something you like, they don't like it necessarily, but you know, you might keep drawing it because that's good fun for you. So it's, yeah, I think I can usually find it in most things, but yeah, it's the flavor that I'm looking for.
Bueno, nos cuenta ahí cómo él se encuentra obsesionado, digamos, con los detalles que lo hacen inspirar, ¿no? La ropa que lleva alguien, el color de alguna comida, esas pequeñas cosas que se pueden encontrar, bueno, en muchas cosas del mundo, pero siempre y cuando para él pueda ver un personaje en ello. Entonces, por eso él habla de cómo Él quiere que esos dibujos que él realiza tengan sabor, ¿no? Que es algo que tal vez no es muy convencional. Habla también de la importancia de encontrar una conexión, una unión entre lo que él ama y entre lo que la gente que lo sigue también se encuentra interesada.
I'm having a snack. I haven't had enough coffee.
That's all right. The drawings made you hungry.
I'm really sorry. You caught me in a bad moment. Anyway, there is also something I do like about your drawing is that sometimes you write like little poems, and then you decorate it or combine them with your drawings.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you do that, or how does this inspiration come from? In order, I mean, we know how you get your inspiration for drawing, but for writing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've always done the two. Like when I was drawing it.
Wait,
Yeah.
because I need Monica to translate the question.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Lo siento. Lo siento.
Well, I didn't actually get the question about little points and.
Vale.
Can you say that again, please? Your mic is off. Okay.
Si se dieron cuenta en los dibujos que vieron de Eddie, él tiene algunos poemas que son autoría de él. Entonces ya nos contó un poco de cómo obtiene su inspiración para dibujar, pero ¿y la escritura? ¿Y por qué lo hace? ¿Por qué decora esas frases con ilustraciones? Susan's question is very good. We will do it in a bit.
Sure.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So just go ahead, Eddie.
Okay, all right. So I've always drawn and written. So even when I was a kid and I was interested in children's books, I would usually write a little bit and then draw, and then. So I guess what I'm doing now is exactly what I was doing when I was 5 or 6 or 7. Obviously, the content, the subject matter is different, but I think that like drawings and imagery go so well together, and that's why comics and graphic novels and children's books and these things go so well. I think Instagram is a really nice place where you can tell these little mini stories, in one little frame, with not just an image but with words. Because I think that sometimes it does just work with words, but there's a beauty in the poetry in words that sometimes can help the image some way. So that's why I usually do that. And I think people like Colombians particularly, I think, really love poetry and literature and rhyming poetry. And I learned recently all about Rafael Pombo, and I didn't know about him, but obviously you've got these rhyming little short poems in your whole history and childhood. So I do these poems about Colombianas, and they're sort of Spanglish poems. Established a Spanglish poem, but I think that's I think that's where it works best.
Nos cuenta Eddie cómo siempre ha dibujado y escrito al mismo tiempo desde pequeño, y que realmente lo que hace ahora no difiere mucho de eso, no es muy diferente. Nos habla cómo desde Instagram él puede combinar muy bien estas dos cosas, cómo Instagram es un sitio perfecto para lograr esto. También nos habla de que aquí en Colombia él nota que a la gente le gusta mucho la poesía, la literatura, y cómo él aprendió sobre Rafael Pombo. Y si no me equivoco, él ha intentado, se ha arriesgado, digamos, a hacer poemas en lo que nosotros llamamos Spanglish, debido a esto que él ha leído de nuestra literatura.
Yeah, it's very romantic what you write. As the first chat we had, I told you, it's very between, I call it soft porn, you say it a lot, but it's very romantic as well at the same time.
I think, yeah. I think you have to, the thing about drawing is that I've learned, or any artistic thing, is you have to be really true to yourself. Otherwise you're a phony, you're not being real. you're trying to impress someone, or I think if you're true to yourself, that's when art really makes an impact. And I notice it when I draw something that's very much from my own heart or desires, or something close to me. That's usually when something's very successful with other people, because everyone's had that same feeling, everyone's had that same desire, or someone's had that same desire, or someone's had that same feeling of heartbreak or love, or attraction or lust, or whatever it is. So usually if you put something like that in your art, it's quite nerve-wracking, because it's exposing yourself. It's basically saying, this is what I love.
You, yes, it's like having your soul naked and let the others see inside you.
It is, yeah. So it's quite nerve-wracking at the start, and you put it out there and you think, oh no, like what's going to happen? And then when people,
really?
Yeah.
So, was you very afraid the first time you posted your first drawing, your first
my first, I think my first erotic drawings were, I wasn't sure how people were gonna react.
Sorry, Monica wants to
Yeah,
do
sure.
Sorry, Monica, sorry. We have like 3 questions here. So, chicos, si tienen preguntas, por favor, escríbanlas. Voy a dejar de hablar con Eddie de manera personal, porque en realidad lo admiro mucho, admiro su trabajo. Entonces me siento muy groupie teniéndolo aquí. I feel kind of groupie having you here, so because I do like you so much. Entonces, escriban las preguntas, la profe Mónica va a traducir ahorita, Eddie nos va a contar una experiencia y seguimos con ustedes.
Listo. Bueno, la pregunta que acabo de hacer el profe Camilo a Eddie es, bueno, no fue una pregunta, fue un comentario de cómo el trabajo de él es al tiempo romántico, pero bueno, lo llama él también soft porn. Bueno, no sé si haya la traducción para esto, soft porn, pero probablemente ustedes estén familiarizados con el concepto. Nos habla entonces Eddie de cómo, sin importar esto, si uno es fiel a sí mismo, es cuando las cosas realmente tienen éxito, los proyectos y los trabajos tienen éxito. Habla también de cómo se siente un poco, digamos, frágil, le dan muchos nervios, ¿no?, hacer este tipo de trabajos, porque es exponerse al mundo, como desnudarse, digamos, de cierta forma, con miedo, pero de cualquier manera con la seguridad de que cuando cuando plasma sus propios deseos es cuando es exitoso, sus trabajos son exitosos realmente.
So, we have like 3 questions here. First of all, Susana is asking us about what happened with the girls of Medellin.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody knows what happened about what you did. I'm going to see if I can find it in your Instagram. I'm going to share it.
Sure, yeah. Polemic, it's the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting week of my life, because I'd drawn these series called The Girls of, and I drew the girls of Bogota in February. I drew the girls of Cartagena in March. And then by December, when I first went to Medellin, I thought, well, people are asking, you're going to draw the girls of Medellin, you're going to draw the girls of Medellin. So I knew that there was a lot of responsibility in my hands. So I started exploring, the fashion styles, the hairstyles, the typical looks in Medellin. So I went to a few different locations and started to see patterns. And like the thing about these is I always like to celebrate what the girls are wearing. I'm not judging them. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't wear these. Like, I think everyone has the freedom to express their own style, and whether it's ripped jeans, a crop top, hoop earrings, whatever they wear, I think that's fantastic, and that's why I try and celebrate. But I think what happened was it got misinterpreted on Twitter as being me stereotyping paisas, who have obviously had a bit to go up against with the perceptions and stereotypes that exist against girls from Medellin. So I discovered all of these things, all of these words and morongo, and people were saying that, don't worry about it. That's just the double morals that exist. And yeah, it was a very interesting time because I drew this picture out of love and celebration. And I think some people completely got offended by it. But what ended up happening was that I got a huge wave of Colombians and Paisas, particularly Paisas, who said, "No, this is great. Keep doing what you're doing. It's accurate. Don't worry about the people that are hating on your work." So I almost became a controversial figure, a polemic figure in Colombia for a few days, and I think Colombians love love a controversial figure. So I think a lot of people started following me when they were told that they shouldn't like my drawing. They started thinking, okay, well maybe I'll follow Eddie White. So it was a pretty cool week, actually, looking back.
Bueno, la respuesta creo que era Susana. Ah, ok, sí. Listo. Bueno, nos cuenta Eddie cómo él inició una serie de dibujos para Bogotá en febrero. Luego una serie de dibujos también en Cartagena en marzo. Y luego finalmente la gente empezó a preguntar si él estaba en diciembre ya en Medellín, pues empezaron a sugerirle que entonces hiciera un trabajo de las mujeres de Medellín, así como había hecho con las ciudades anteriores. Entonces, nuestro artista fue a mirar a diferentes localidades para empezar a encontrar patrones, ¿no? En cuanto a la moda, estilos del cabello, entre otras. Pero bueno, nos cuenta él cómo él no tiene ningún prejuicio de cómo las personas se visten, ¿no? Que tienen la libertad completa de hacerlo como lo deseen, y él simplemente quiso celebrar eso en sus dibujos. Pero bueno, eso se malinterpretó, lo señalaron de reproducir estereotipos de la mujer de paisa, lo insultaron, bueno, desafortunadamente. Pero mucha gente le insistió en que no se preocupara por la gente, por la doble moral, perdón, que manejaban en este país. Bueno, estos fueron los comentarios que le hicieron a él. Y finalmente, pues se volvió una figura polémica en unos días, pocos días.
So there is the answer. Oh, I was sitting the whole time, sorry. Emmanuel, you can turn your microphone on, please, and you can ask yourself, because you speak very good English.
Yes, you do.
All right. Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Emmanuel.
And first of all, then nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So my question is, how were you able to achieve your goal to become a filmmaker? Was it really a rough journey?
I guess I started when I was so young that you don't think about the you don't think about the ideas of failure or these sort of things when you're 13, 14. So I think we just started with just complete blissful ignorance when we were that age. And then once you start doing something and you're enjoying it, I'll keep doing it. And then you start to have a little bit of success. And then when you start getting recognized, that's when you start to go, oh, right, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And then, so that was the easy part. But the hard part is the financial thing, because when you're in your 20s, you don't need that much money. And by the time you get to 30, it's a bit more important what you're earning. And so that was the balance. And that's been kind of the biggest struggle about being an artist, is trying to pursue doing what you love doing, but also paying your rent, eating and these kind of things. And eventually what happens is the more you keep doing what you love doing, people come to you and because they want that energy and they want your energy as part of their project or whatever it is. So that's kind of how that's happened. So it's definitely hasn't been without its struggles. There's been very hard financial times in my in my life, but at the moment I'm really loving it. And I hope to make a a movie in Colombia eventually, and that would be one of my biggest goals. You know, I've got to get better at Spanish first, but after that, I'd love to make a movie here.
All right. Thank you so much.
No worries.
And I know you get Spanish real soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Bueno, pregunta de Manuel, le preguntó a Eddie cómo pudo llegar él a, bueno, cómo alcanzó esa meta de convertirse en, bueno, oh my God, a filmmaker. Emmanuel, help me with that. Filmmaker, director, ok, realizador, productor, I'm sorry. Yes. Ok, listo. Nos cuenta Eddie que él empezó tan joven que, bueno, él realmente no se detuvo a pensar en qué sería fallar. No concebía esta idea en su, digamos, en su completa inocencia e ignorancia, lo llama él, de niño, solamente quería pues disfrutar de su talento. Cuando ya él empieza a ser reconocido y se da cuenta que bueno, que puede hacer una vida con esto, una vida profesional, ya sabe que eso es lo que él está destinado a hacer, pero bueno, va creciendo, los años van pasando, las responsabilidades económicas, las facturas, comida, entre otras dificultades que le han costado a él mucho trabajo, ¿no? En su profesión de artista, pero que de esto de ninguna manera ha sido algo malo, sino por lo contrario. Entre más él sienta ese apoyo de de las personas que lo admiran, esto lo impulsa a él a continuar con su carrera. Y él finalizó con algo muy importante. Nos cuenta Eddie que uno de sus proyectos es hacer una película en Colombia y que espera poderlo hacer en un tiempo no muy lejano.
Very welcome to do it here when you want.
Oh, yes.
We can help you to improve your Spanish. You can help us to improve so many other part of us.
For sure.
There is another question from Federico Gonzalez. He says, art is such a personal thing, and knowing that there is always some more details to be done. How do you know when a piece of art is done, is finished?
Yeah, I think I know some artists who can labor over a drawing for hours, like for days. You know, they work. But generally, I don't like to work on something for any longer than a day because I just lose focus, I lose interest. So that's why most of my drawings are fairly simple. The food drawings I do, they actually take the longest because I have to draw each individual dish. And as you can imagine, within each dish, there's different textures and different shapes and colors and all that kind of stuff. So the food drawings, I know when I sit down to draw, you know, the tastes of or the breakfast of Colombia or something like that, is going to take me probably a day to do. You know, sometimes a bit longer, but you know, then you see it all finished and it's like, okay, that's definitely finished. My simple drawings, I like to just get them down, get them out there before I can think about them too much and analyze them too much. So my drawings are a bit like, you know, jazz. Sometimes there's a lot of improvisation, a little bit of planning, and then you sort of get it out there. And I think I'm a pretty fast drawer. Like I'm not the slowest drawer, so that sort of helps when it comes to that. So that's usually when I know it's finished because, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done with that now.
Respondiendo a la pregunta de Federico en el chat, él conoce de algunos, bueno, artistas que pueden quedarse durante días o tal vez meses en un solo trabajo. Personalmente a Eddie no le gusta trabajar en algo más de un día porque siente que pierde su enfoque. Nos cuenta de algo en especial que es los dibujos de la comida. Estos sí toman un poco más de tiempo que los demás debido a la atención al detalle que él presta, ¿no? Con las texturas, las formas, los colores. En este caso, dice él que bueno, un día, a veces un poco más, pero normalmente los más sencillos, sus dibujos más sencillos los hace, como decimos nosotros, en una sentada. Entonces, un poco de combinación de improvisación con planeación, y sobre todo que él, bueno, dice que dibuja muy rápido y esto pues de una forma muy ágil, y esto le ayuda bastante en sus tiempos.
Okay, we're going with 2 last questions.
Sure.
So we're going to try to do it faster because we got another activity.
Yeah.
But everybody is so happy to have you here, basically.
Thank you.
How has it been for you to drawing with the pencil? Pencil, no, lápiz. Pen, with the pen.
Oh, the Apple Pencil.
Yeah. How was it?
It's amazing. This is the
No, ¿cómo es esfero?
pencil? iPad?
The pen?
The pen is the pen, but the regular pen, this one.
Oh, the regular pen.
Yeah. How was this experience drawing with the regular pen? It's a question from Alexander Melo.
When I was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess because I started drawing very young with a felt tip pen, it became my favorite tool. So I'd prefer to draw with that than pencil or crayons or paint or textures and so fine. I think I love the fact you get these little details, and my drawings, they're not very sketchy. Like I think some artists like to sketch a lot. Like I do a basic sketch, but generally I love working with the black line. That's like my favorite part of it. So I think that's because I was always drawing with pen, and I still draw with pen on paper sometimes, but with Instagram, it's just more convenient because you can just draw something, upload it, you don't have to scan it or anything like that. So I think for Instagram, the iPad has been really probably a turning point for me as well.
No, Mónica, bueno, nos dice Eddie que pues él empezó desde pequeño, que se sentía mejor con el esfero, porque le daba como un plus, que podía trabajar como con los detalles más pequeños y le fluía más. Ya para medios digitales como Instagram, pues ya utiliza otros métodos, pero que de vez en cuando todavía utiliza su esfero, que le encanta dibujar con él porque siente que es más fluido. No veo a Mónica, se desconecta Mónica. Bueno. Okay, we got the last question. First of all, I want to say, William is saying he loves so much every detail of every illustration you've done because you're telling a story. Congratulations. Emmanuel says, awesome. Federico also says, thank you for your time. And the last question we got here from, who is it? Susan is, what kind of tools do you use for illustration?
Mainly for the ones that you're seeing now, they're mainly done on the iPad Pro, like a 12-inch iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, which is great. It's great for traveling because you've got your entire art studio in your pocket. You don't need all of your pens and markers and scanner and erasers and all that sort of stuff. So it's really, really handy. And I was scared when I first started because I'm really bad with technology, like software and programs. I've never been like nerdy in that way. Like I've always just drawn on paper. So I was kind of scared that I would lose something in my art, or people would say, "Oh, your drawings look different. I don't like them anymore." But actually, the opposite happened. My drawings became more popular when I went to using digital stuff, and I think that's just because they become clearer, they become crisper, they become more like something you'd see on Instagram. Whereas a drawing, when you scan it and you put it on Instagram, sometimes the quality doesn't quite capture the quality of that drawing. Whereas if you put a drawing on the wall in a frame, it looks amazing, but it's not the same on the screen. So I think that the Instagram thing is interesting because it's really made for this kind of this imagery of crisp, colorful, eye-catching kind of stuff.
Bueno, como ya nos había dicho, Edith utiliza su iPad y el lápiz, que le ha servido bastante porque es una persona que viaja mucho y pues eso es más es más conveniente porque pues no puede cargar todo un estudio con él. Le ha ayudado bastante para las imágenes en internet porque es inmediato y siente que el detalle queda más pronto, que antes dibujaba a mano, escaneaba, tomaba la foto y subía, pero que no quedaba igual en la calidad, mientras que si lo hace directamente y lo sube, pues le ha dado mejores resultados. Okay, so Eddie, thank you so much for your time. I know you're
That's a pleasure.
busy days in Mexico, but thank you so much. It was great to have you here. I wish we could stay longer talking, but we have some other things to do.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. You're always welcome. Chicos,
Thank
recuerden que a Eddie lo pueden seguir en sus redes sociales, en la cuenta de Instagram. Es un excelente ilustrador y creo que un referente fuerte para todos los que quieran irse por este lado de la ilustración. Creo que es un poco de flat art. All our students are very happy.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Always open the doors here for you.
For sure. Have a good night, everyone.
We all hope you can achieve all your dreams of having your film here in Colombia and improving your Spanish.
My Spanish.
You're going to entertain us more by doing your karaoke.
Yeah, exactly. Tell you my life story through reggaeton.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Muchas gracias a
Bye,
Eddie White que nos acompañó esta noche.
Bueno, pues mil gracias a Eddie por la excelente presentación, por mostrarnos un poco esa relación entre ilustración y trabajo etnográfico. A mí me parece que eso es maravilloso, la cultura, su acercamiento desde la cultura popular, desde la imagen, bueno, maravilloso, lindísimo, un trabajo espectacular. Y pues le damos las gracias a Eddie y esperamos verlo muy pronto ojalá en nuestra universidad, pero también, como decía el profe Camilo, la posibilidad de que se pegue una cantata en karaoke bien chévere más adelante. Y ojalá quisiéramos escucharlo cantando reggaetón. Efectivamente, yo quedé con ganas.
Él tiene videos
¿Por qué reggaetón? ¿Por qué
él los tiene.
reggaetón?
Porque es lo que le gusta, porque es lo que le gusta.
Y pues al que le gusta le sabe.
Al que le
Bueno,
gusta le
como
sabe.
siempre vamos sobre el tiempo que nos planeamos. Nosotros somos de un medido, ¿no? Nosotros decimos es una hora y es una hora.